NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is delivered by UPS, the official express delivery company of NASCAR.
UPS delivers up to the minute race info at foxsports.com. Keyword Fox Tracks. Big Brown won the Kentucky Derby. Now there's a name for a horse.
Sucker could run, I'm telling you that. From the 20, he came from the outside 20th spot. Was supposed to be like the worst starting spot in the world.
He must have watched your brother race, because he ran that whole race on the outside.
He did. I love the way that jockey rode him, though. He kind of pulled him back there a little bit going into turn 3. And he kicked him in gear and came off.
Yeah, because I'm not even sure he was even in the top 3 or 4 going off into 3.
Big old boy took the lead.
Speaking of running the outside, there's Michael Waltrip, 23rd place, 1 lap down. He and Elliott Sadler have been running that high line around the racetrack lap after lap.
I don't think he's got much right side left in that unit. He is rubbed on the wall all night long.
We've got 19 cars on the lead lap as we've got just a little over 100 laps to go. Right now, Dave Blaney in that 22 car, he would be the car in position to get the free pass, the first car a lap down.
The out of the race list has grown. In addition to Kurt Busch, Patrick Carpentier, Michael McDowell, and A.J. Allmendinger in the garage.
But Darrell mentioned Matt Kenseth in that 17 car fighting for every point they can get. They are back out on the racetrack. Right now it looks like the only car in the garage area trying to get back out is maybe David Gilliland in that 38 car.
Larry, when they wreck these cars, if they don't bend the chassis up, if they just mess up the body, do they have to go back to the R&D center to be recertified?
No, the only thing that has to be recertified by NASCAR is if you do structure damage, like the roll cage, the front snout, the rear clip. Body-wise, you do not.
3 cars fighting for 5th place. Clint Boyer in the 07, Martin Truex in the 1. In the midst of them is Dave Blaney, the first car a lap down. Now they're a good distance behind Mark Martin, and they stop running side by side as Tony Stewart begins to fill up their mirrors.
Watching the scoring monitor, now he's almost 3 seconds behind leader Denny Hamlin, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88, at least lap times, seems to be keeping tempo with that 11 car. But as I mentioned, he's about 2 3/4 seconds behind Denny Hamlin, as we now will have 100 laps to go. We're 3/4 of the way through.
What I would be worried about if I was Denny Hamlin, he's coming up on a large group of cars that he's going to have to maneuver through.
That probably will not cooperate very well.
So that could allow 18 car of Kyle to close up, and even the 88 could get close, depending on how he works this traffic.
100 laps to go.
Getting down to it, boys.
And 1 more pit stop, Steve.
Mike, just listening to Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin's teammate, he says, I'm still a little tight in the center, but my exit is a lot better. I feel good right now.
And his lap times, in fact, if you look at about the top 5 right now, they're pretty close to each other.
Yeah, they seem like after a few laps, they just kind of all get locked in and run about the same speed. But that 11 car can just roll the center of the corner so much better than most of the other guys.
Denny Hamlin has now led 300 laps. Bill Elliott led 348 when he won here in 1992. The last driver to win and lead every lap was Jeff Burton at New Hampshire. Hamlin can't do that because A.J. Allmendinger stayed out a couple of laps under caution to pick up 5 bonus points.
Yeah, A.J. led 1 lap back on lap 207.
But Hamlin is on a tear. His last 4 races include a win, and they are all top 5 finishes.
But you know, when you look at what Joe Gibbs Racing, what they have done in Sprint Cup Series racing this year, of course they have the 3 wins, Denny at Martinsville, Kyle Busch at Atlanta, and at Talladega last week, and in the Nationwide Series. I mean, they've won the last 5 races and could have very well won every one of those races. So many people question Joe Gibbs Racing making the move from GM to Toyota. They knew they could go to Toyota and be the cat daddy in the alley. Chevrolet camp, no matter how many races or championships they won, they would always be the 3rd or 4th spoke in the wheel over there behind Hendrick, Childress, and DEI.
Well, you just got to tip your hat to them. And even taking Kyle Busch. I mean, people felt like that was a gamble, that he was going to come in and disrupt what they had going on there. So everything they did in the offseason was like they were charmed. It couldn't have worked out any better. And
the real challenge was not changing the cars over. It was a matter of a few decals, the nose and the tail section. Who gets the real award is Mark Conquest and those guys in the engine shop, because that was like starting from scratch almost.
Jeff Gordon seems to have picked up some front-end damage there, Dick.
Yeah, indeed he has, Mike. And one of the tricks that they've got here in the 24 pit is a still camera. And they took close-up pictures of the nose of that car so they could tell the mechanics exactly where the damage was. They are now in the process of getting the tape together so they can fix that damage on the next pit stop.
Well, you just think back to Darlington last year. He won the race down there, and remember his car for the last, what, Larry? I don't know, 100 miles seemed like it, the latter part. It shot steam out of it the entire last 100 laps or so of that race. So if it starts to get hot, there's his camera he's talking about to take those pictures. Pretty ingenious idea, I might say.
And here's Denny Hamlin getting into traffic, and he gets a little nudge there from Sam Hornish.
But now he's going to get a little impatient, because if you look right behind Joe right there, Nemechek, the 18 car has caught up with him. So he's giving up that comfortable lead he had. Here comes Kyle off of the turn, closing in.
And Rudeman and Hornish trying to keep from going 2 and 3 laps down respectively, and going to get the move over flag here.
Well, they should.
Now we're about halfway through this run. Remember, everyone was on pit road at lap 262. We're at lap 310. We are into what would be a one-stop race. If we stay green, about lap 345 to 355, we would see everyone come to pit road for what would be possibly their final pit stop.
Denny Hamlin's dad watching his son lead all but 1 lap so far.
Yep, and he's like any dad would be. He knows darn good and well it ain't over till it's over.
No,
you can have the best car, and you don't necessarily mean you're going to win.
Casey Mears has had a strong night. He's been a top 20 car all evening, currently 17th, battling Jamie Mack. And Reed Sorensen has rebounded nicely. He got caught up in one of those crashes, and Sorensen took advantage of a free pass, and he's been on the lead lap ever since in the 41.
You know, just looking at Denny Hamlin and looking at Denny Hamlin's dad as we're looking at Reed Sorensen in the 41 car, this is Denny Hamlin's 89th career start, and he only has 2 DNFs. I asked Denny Hamlin about that. I said, you evidently pride yourself in finishes races. He said, you dead-gum right, because when me and my dad were working on my race car, if I wrecked it, A, we were going to have to pay for it, and I was going to have to be the one to fix it. I prided myself on taking care of my equipment.
Guys that have started that way, own their own cars, kind of family operations, make great race car drivers.
86 laps to go in Richmond, Virginia, on the 3/4 mile. Kyle Busch now just a half a second back of the leader as McMurray draws alongside Casey Mears for 17th.
Car that seems to be fading now, and he's kind of been up and down all night, is Kevin Harvick in that 29 car. In fact, Jeff Gordon in the 24 just went by him for the 8th spot. So it's like they still do not have this 29 car where they need it, and they may only get one more chance to make it right.
Yeah, I really thought that at one point in the race this was going to be a car you have to contend with, but you can see right there that car is looking like it's pushy loose to me.
All the Childress cars came in here expecting to be contenders, but Jeff Burton got caught up in one of the crashes. They do have one car in the top 5. That's Clint Boyer.